Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one's from Am I the Devil? Things are looking up for OP, right? And is titled, Will I Be the Astronaut If I Canceled My Daughter's Wedding Vendors Right Before Her Wedding? I mean, probably. Hi all, looking for some advice and using a throwaway since my daughter, let's call her Stacy, is occasionally on Reddit. Stacy and I had an on-off relationship over the years that's been stressed at the best of times and zero contact at the worst. A year ago, we had a big reconciliation and as a show of good faith, I agreed to help her pay for her upcoming wedding. The photographer, catering, and cake supplier are all in my name and on my card to the tune of more than $10,000 total. Okay, so this is we don't know if this is mom or dad, but Stacy is the daughter. They've had an on and off relationship over the years, but OP is paying for $10K of the wedding. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, and we had another one of our huge fights. Not sure the reason is important. And Stacy basically told me directly to my face that I am uninvited from the wedding, and she doesn't want me to be there or in her life anymore. Well, I think our votes are going to change here, folks. She's been overly dramatic before, but this sounded more serious. I, maybe an overreaction of my own, called the photographer and caterer. Now that we're so close to the wedding date, most of my payments are almost completely non-refundable, and I can only get a few $100s back of what I've paid at this point. I'm not going to argue that. The vendors have contracts and policies, and they deserve to be paid. It's a sunk cost for me at this point. Basically, my question is, will I be the astronaut if I called the photographer, food, cake people back and told them to keep the money but not show up to the wedding? If Stacy is really permanently cutting me out of her life, I don't see why I should help her have the day of her dreams if I am uninvited from her wedding and her entire future. Just wondering if that's being super petty or if there's some rationale to, hopefully, teaching her to be a better person in the future. The fight reason is relevant. Yeah, you would think so. Probably. If it was big enough for her to uninvite OP from the wedding, it's probably relevant. That context would be important. There is an edit here. There are a couple of edits here, and Candy Thunder left us some notes. But before we get into that, my gut reaction here is, look, if you do this, it could be as simple as you got taken advantage of, right? It could absolutely be that. My gut reaction here is that if you do this, and yes, you could have been taken advantage of, she could have planned this just so you wouldn't be there, but she still got you to pay for shit. That could be premeditated. If you do this, you seal the fate of your relationship with her, right? I mean, like, yes, you may... I don't think the lesson you're hoping she's going to learn is the lesson she's going to learn. The lesson she's going to learn is you're a dick who she's never going to talk to again. And if she blows up and you guys have fights randomly, but then you have the on again part of the relationship, this would make sure that the on never happens. It's off forever. So what do you really want here? What's your goal? I guess that's the question. What is your goal, OP? If it's just to teach her a lesson, this ain't it because the collateral damage is too high. CMDR says it's more sus that he doesn't want to talk about the fight. It is. It's not relevant. Probably because it makes me look really bad. Edit! Since many of the responses seem to think the reason behind our fight is very relevant, Stacy and I were arguing about details regarding the food for the wedding. I believed that I should have a say, considering that I am paying for it all. We disagreed, and I said something along the lines of not wanting her to screw up this wedding like I screwed up the wedding with her mother, my now ex-wife. Her mother has always been very close with Stacy, especially when Stacy and I were no contact, and Stacy blew up on me since I have never directly insulted her mom to Stacy's face. Is that insulting her? That's the background, though I'm still not sure how it affects the current decision of canceling the vendors or not. No, surely not. Surely there's more to it than that. Surely OP said something directly insulting her and not saying I screwed up the wedding. That doesn't seem like a reflection on her. It can't. There's got to be more to it. I don't know how that affects the current decision of canceling the vendors. There's got to be more to it. But if that's it, and it's the first time that she's ever brought this up, then maybe, I don't know. Edit 2, it still seems to need clarifying. Just because I said daughter does not mean that I, too, am a woman. I am Stacy's father. We got that. Candy Thunder's notes here. So this is literally about food. You disagreed on a menu, and now you want to ruin her entire wedding because she didn't agree with your suggestions about the food at her wedding? Grow the up, dude. It's that simple. It is that simple. And yeah, I think there was more. I think there was more there. It's not, I think he probably said something that directly insulted his ex-wife, his daughter's mother. And that probably puffed her up. But no matter what, it doesn't matter, dude. Because The only goal that you have that you tell us about here is that you want her to learn a lesson. But if you ever want to have a relationship with her again, you cannot do this, right? I get it. But if you have an on again, off again relationship, what if your relationship goes on for the wedding? Like, wouldn't you want to be there for that? Wouldn't you want that to happen? And to Candy Thunder's point here, you want to ruin her entire wedding because she didn't agree with your suggestions about the food at her wedding. Yes, I understand. You got uninvited because you escalated when that food disagreement was going on, right? You got uninvited from a wedding that you're paying $10K for. And I understand that shouldn't happen. But your reaction here, where you're willing to basically ruin her life, shouldn't happen either. So I think this is an ESH for me. This is an everyone sucks here. I'm convinced that there's more to the story with that argument and the escalation, and that you just saying you screwed up your wedding, like you screwed up the food at your wedding or the planning of your wedding, and you didn't want her to screw this one up. I'm not convinced that that was the reason for the argument here. Regardless, your reaction sucks. The way that she's handling this and disinviting someone who's paid $10K toward the wedding with no discussion sucks too. Everybody sucks. Everybody sucks. Sometimes. I don't know, man. It says, would I be the astronaut if he canceled the vendors right before the wedding? And yeah, her uninviting him might have been an overreaction if he's being completely truthful here. Might be. But I go back to what's his goal. If his goal is to never have a relationship with her again, you do you. Dr. Sweets, I understand she uninvited him, but he's not even giving her a chance to pay and still have services. That's true. That's true. I mean, if the majority of it, if it was almost all non-refundable and the little bit that he could get back, he could curl that back and say if she wants it, she can cover that. Now, doing that right before the wedding sucks. It all sucks. All of it. The whole situation here sucks. I understand, like, if you're contributing to your child's wedding, wanting to have some input, but in my opinion here, bride and groom have ultimate veto over everything. You can have input. You can be an advisor, right? But I think even if you're paying for something, that's a good question for chat here. What do you think? If you are paying $10K for your child's wedding, how much of a say should you get? Should you get input or should you get decision? It's about more than that.